Hi, guys. Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. I'm your host, April DeMille, a psychic medium and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and raw healing. Each week, we'll dive into soul centered topics like psychic mediumship, the supernatural, metaphysical wisdom, emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self discovery. Through inspiring interviews and personal insights, this podcast is here to spread awareness, spark connection, and support your healing journey. If you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power, you're in the right place. Let's own your essence together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I am your host, April DeMille, and today we have one of my best buddies. You might have seen her on here before. She was on an episode with Lee and I. Hey, lady.
Hi
So
there.
I'm like, hey guys, you might have recognized Laura, but I'm going to let you remind our viewers who you are. And I will tell them, well, they might have seen you on an episode because we recorded with Lee. We did the medium roundtable, and I've been on your
Yep.
episodes a few times. So, yeah, if you want to tell them a little bit about yourself and who you are, and then we'll dive right in.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, as April said, my name is Laura West, and I am a registered nurse by daytime occupation. But I'm also a podcast host, author, and YouTuber. Now I can add to that list of fun things that I love, and psychic medium and all that other good stuff. So here I am.
So many tricks in the bag. And
Right.
and Laura had pointed out how we are color coordinated today, which I find fabulous.
I know we're in our greens. I love it.
We're feeling very earthy today.
Yeah.
Very earthy. But yeah, if you guys want to experience a little bit more about Laura West, she was on, I want to say it was like episode 5. So it's on YouTube. It's listed on YouTube as the Medium Q&A roundtable with Lee and Laura and I. So wherever, you want to go look that up, you can give that a listen, give it a watch, and catch up on a little bit about Laura. So, Laura, what's happening in your world?
Oh, goodness. Well, in the immediate time frame, after we're done here, I am decorating my house for Halloween, so I'm really excited about that. One of my favorite holidays.
Yeah.
So that's happening today. It's a beautiful day here. It's a Sunday, so it's just a perfect time to unwind and just have like a little Halloween movie on in the background to do that. So that's what's happening in the immediateness. But otherwise, one of the newer ventures that I've been on is vlogging more. So I'm really excited about that. It was like an intuitive thing to connect more with the people that maybe listen to the podcast or are just curious as to what I'm up to. So I have my YouTube channel for that, which I've actually really been enjoying.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been up to besides just the everyday, being a mom and a wife and nurse and person.
Wearing all the hats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I feel like, God, what's going on in my world? My immediate is, mom, full-time nanny. I was just doing Halloween things for my nanny kids and my nieces and nephew. And so I was doing that yesterday. I was getting their little bags together and their little treats and their little flashy LED necklaces and rings and all the things, all the goodies. So I was getting that together. God, what else? Having fun with my 18-year-old. She's around, living here and doing a lot more with her. So that's been good. We're
Nice.
gearing up to go to my older daughter's wedding. So her wedding's in November in Utah. So that's been, one of the things at the forefront this whole year. But now it's like finally coming down to that moment, and it's trying to check all the boxes to get that shit done. So it's, yeah, exciting stuff, but also like, let's get this over with so my life can feel a little more normal again, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Isn't it funny how I'm sure she's been planning this wedding for a while, but just how, oh my gosh, it's already here. It's probably just, it's such a wild
Yeah.
feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they've been planning for about a year now. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, now it's like, okay, now it's coming down to the real thing, and the stress is kind of like layering on top of everyone, and we're like, oh God.
Yep.
I hope we
Yep.
can make it through this, but we will. Yeah. So it's fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Do you have any upcoming new directions, goals, anything that, is kind of screaming at you? I know you said vlogging, but
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of it right now and maneuvering all of that since that's new. Still, of course, doing the podcast and releasing episodes every week with that. But the podcast, it's really it's a spirituality based podcast. So when I vlog, there may be hints of that, but it's really, also sharing the other parts, the other bits of things that I love. Like I love to read, I love the Halloween stuff, and I love, the holiday season and sharing if we go on trips and things like that. So, just really allowing people to see a bit more into what else it is that
so
I
it's like
do.
allowing yourself to be witnessed, like fully witnessed.
Just yeah, fully witness. I mean, to a certain extent, right? I'm still
Right.
editing and choosing
Well,
what I
right.
share.
Right.
Yes, but yeah, more than just I don't know, more than just hearing me on the podcast and it feeling kind of one-sided. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to if there's somebody that you find interesting and if I have listeners that listen regularly and maybe feel like they're getting to know me better in that aspect. I always find it's kind of interesting to learn about a person in different parts and different aspects of their lives. And so by giving some of that on a different platform where I'm on video and it's still me, still recognizing my voice, but, we're looking at my every day. Like I did a Sunday reset video where you saw me just doing the things that I might do on a Sunday, like laundry and, whatever. It's like it's not all just the spiritual stuff. It's not all just
Right.
what I
It's
talk
like
about on the
it's like the
podcast.
mundane daily stuff, but also because you're so spiritual, it's intertwined. I mean, it's all
It
in
is
there.
very intertwined. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think just to show that there is still real life that we have to live, there are still other things that I'm interested in. It's not always going to be about spirit, or at least spirit's not the main focus. Spirit's always
Right.
there, but
Right.
it's not the main focus. Like I like to read romanticises that may be kind of raunchy for some people, but I find entertaining. I I like to, you know, decorate my house for the holidays. Like, that's kind of I don't know. You might some people might I don't really see where the connection is like in the forefront as far as like my spirituality, but that's still something that I enjoy. And it doesn't mean that my life has to only be one thing. So anyway, I just like to share like other things that light me up because I feel like there are other people out there that I can connect with when we have the same likes and
Yeah.
just have that little cozy corner of the internet that we can share together. So,
Yeah. I think that's
yeah.
a great way to do it, though. I mean, I have many times told my roommate, I'm like, I swear we should have like a roommate chronicles on YouTube because that shit would be hilarious. Like some of the things that we have talked about and experienced, like just to be a fly on the wall. And some of those conversations would be just so funny.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be, yeah. And then I think the only other thing that has been kind of beckoning to me a little bit louder, it's still, I don't think it's still something I'm going to be jumping on right away. It still feels a little further out than I would like it to, but the pressure's kind of, it's still building.
Hmm.
Is getting my books. Like, you've got to start writing these books. You've got to start telling your story. You've got to start talking about
Hmm.
Brielle and how, the death of your child, like all these things that also would open me up to being very witnessed. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
yeah,
very therapeutic to write.
for sure. Yeah.
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 So
So
help in so many ways.
I've got to make this space for that too.
Hmm.
but I'm also not like trying to force it. When it shows up, it'll show up. Like it'll
Yeah,
happen when it does. Like, yeah. So,
right. I mean, at least you're showing up this way too.
yeah, for now. Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
definitely for now. And I think that I've definitely noticed that like when I post these on YouTube, people seem to like seeing our faces and watching the videos of these podcasts more than they do listening to them. So I'm like, okay,
Sure.
cool, whatever works,
Yeah.
whatever helps that door open up and, makes
Yeah.
things feel more fluid. So,
Which kind of goes along with my theory of I think that by vlogging, people seeing me more instead of just my voice, like there might be like an interest there. So,
well, and
and I'm happy to share too.
I almost feel like podcasts, and I don't know if this is just my experience with it this year or not, but I almost feel like podcasts were a lot bigger of a thing, like maybe a couple years ago. And like I feel like it's kind of dwindling right now. Or maybe it's just going through like a phase where it's kind of getting quiet right now and then it, goes back and forth. I don't really know because I'm new to it. Like you, I think you've been doing it so much longer than I have, but like I'm new to it. So this is my first experience and I feel like people really like visibility. They really want to see your face. They really want to feel like they're interacting with you and just hearing a voice isn't the same effect.
Yeah, yeah. And it's nice when you have both because then if like people are driving, they can
Hmm.
still
Hmm.
they'll have something to listen to help them through their commute or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm also an avid reader. I don't I'm huge into self-help books and nonfiction. I don't ever dive
Nice.
into the my aunt likes really like lots of fantasy books and fiction stuff. I'm like, ugh, please, I can just go watch a movie. Give me a book about something real. Like that's my
Oh,
really
how
firm,
funny.
yeah, that's my like really firm, grounded, like learning style when it comes to like reading. But right
Yeah.
now, I am geeking out on some books about aliens and alien interactions and government and CIA
Mm.
connections and all the things. So I'm geeking out into all that right now. So whatever,
Sounds like you found a rabbit hole.
for sure. I mean, I think I live in rabbit holes most of the time, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see where this journey takes you.
Yeah. Well, I even got this book a couple months ago that was talking about like the real life vampires in New
New Orleans.
Orleans. Yeah, I was like, huh. So I'm like reading this book and all these letters from so-called Draculas in the day, and I'm just like, what the? Wow, okay. Like,
That
I
sounds
mean,
interesting.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm like, okay. I mean, whatever does
Yeah.
it. Like,
Well, it's so funny you bring that up because I'm actually keeping my ears and eyes open to have a cryptozoologist
oh, okay.
on my show. I would love to interview a
Oh my God.
cryptozoologist or
Yeah,
yeah,
I
right?
know
Crypto.
someone.
You do?
Yeah, he wrote the books on Bigfoot. His name's Kiwoni. He's a huge pillar in the Bigfoot community. So I know somebody. He might
Ooh,
be
and
able
then
to
I wonder
come.
if he knows somebody who could talk about um, vampires and other
I don't think he knows much about that, but he might. He might.
or at least know somebody.
He might know somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kiwoni's he's got some pretty cool stories. He's written some pretty neat books about his
Yeah.
experiences like that.
But no, and the only reason why I think it's probably because people are like, wait, you have a spiritual podcast. Why would you want to talk about that? But I feel like this, I don't know.
Because
One,
there's a gap, there's other dimensions. That's
yes,
why. Like, hello.
right. There is. Yes, for sure. That. And also, like, it all goes back to I feel like as a listener, you can tell if the host is enjoying the topic or not. And for me, I'm like, I just find it so interesting. And so
Yeah.
why not share that? Because I mean, we're already talking about the spirit world and realms that we can't see but know exist. I
Yeah.
mean, what about the other possibilities
Yeah.
out there? So I don't
Well,
know, it
and
just makes me
I think
guessing.
there's something to be said too about like just because we're podcasters and we have people on talking about certain things, it doesn't necessarily mean it's exactly what we believe either, but we still might find it fascinating or see where it connects in a way. I've had people on my podcast where they believe in certain things like curses and stuff, and I absolutely give no belief to that. But that doesn't mean that they're not allowed to have a safe place to share their voice and their experience too, because there were still moments in my life where I was in a place where I did question those things. So like it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that we necessarily agree with everything that we're, talking about, but we're allowed to have those interests and we're allowed to still give those people a moment to share their truth.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. That's why I have like all sorts of people on my show as well.
Yeah.
Like I'll have people who are Christian. I've had hoodoo
Mhm.
witches on, I just because I want to
Mhm.
give them all the spectrum because, you know, my podcast, A Guided Life, if you feel that you're being guided by your religion, it's no different than if you feel like you're being guided by your practice,
No, seeking
or
is
whatever.
seeking.
Yeah,
Seeking is seeking.
exactly.
And I know that even when I first started seeking, it was in churches. Like that's where almost feel like a lot of times people start out
A lot
is.
of people do. Yep.
Yeah. So I think I was 13 and I ended up in the Mormon churches. That's where my whole
Wow.
journey started. And so, yeah, I mean, seeking is seeking.
Yeah. And I've had people who they go to the church and they either stick with it because they found it, or they're like, nope, it's not here.
Yeah.
What I need
That's,
isn't here. And they go elsewhere. So it's
yeah.
because everybody's experience is so different. It doesn't mean one's right or
Well, and
wrong.
that's what happened to me. Even at the age of 13, I had gone to the church. I stayed less than 3 to 5 months. And I was like, this isn't speaking to my soul. And
Hmm.
then I think I waited till I was 15. And then I started experiencing Catholicism, regular Christianity, like, just your average Southern belt Christianity. Uh,
Baptism or something.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
Baptist and Methodist and all kinds of stuff. So I was really studying a lot of different beliefs and stuff from the time I was in high school, I think until my early 20s. And pretty much none of it. I was like, man, just like I found bits of truth in all of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're all talking about the same stories, just, from a different
Yeah.
perspective. But I don't think it was until I started studying like Buddhism and Hinduism and things like that where I was like, okay, this actually feels a lot more aligned and, it felt a little more grounded in my soul. So
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
yeah, yeah, it's crazy how that happens. But yeah. So, do you want to talk about I was thinking you and I were talking about maybe sharing some of our like most outstanding moments as a psychic medium, some of the things that were really loud at the forefront, things that just like made impacts on us, whether it was right, wrong, indifferent, bad, good, ugly, whatever, right? Whatever it is. Funny
Yeah.
moments, heart-wrenching moments, like whatever it is. Like, are there any of those stories that you think that you could share?
I have three that I want to share. And I
Okay.
feel like two of the three are on the shorter side,
Okay.
but they were obviously still impactful enough. Okay. So I'll start with this one.
Okay.
I was actually doing an energy healing on a client, and I was doing it virtually. I tend to do them virtually, just as
Yeah.
easier. And so I was actually here in this space. I had set it up, and at the time, I had a lot of plants on this bench behind me.
Okay.
And I remember as I'm standing here, I'm doing the motions of the energy healing. I do what's called healing touch. And I'm doing the motions of it as if the person is laying there in front of me. And I look over at my plants and they're talking to me. And I can't make out what they're saying. But what stood out was how they sounded. And they sounded like as if several voices had inhaled helium and were talking to each other.
Okay.
So it had these like high pitched voices and
Mhm.
they were all going off at once. And I remember it wasn't important as to what they were trying to say. I keep pointing my hand over to the bench. But what was important was that I heard them.
Yeah.
And so what was interesting was after the healing was over, I always, if messages or situations like that happen during the healing, I take note. And then I share it with the client at the end, like what experiences I had, any sensations I may have noticed or felt myself. And we compare notes, just to sort of have those kind of moments of, oh, wow, like I had that too, or I noticed this too.
Yeah.
So and I had to bring this up to her and I said, I have to tell you, while I was doing your healing, the plants in my room started talking to me. Do you have a relationship with plants? Like, what
Yeah.
is your connection to plants? And she says, I have plants all over my house. It was something like that. It was
Yeah.
significant. And so I said, I need you to know that the plants can hear you and the plants do talk back. And she says, that's crazy because I talk to my plants all the time.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. And another reason why I think that's cool is because, oh my gosh, and I can't remember the details of this conversation, but I was talking to a gentleman and I believe it was for my show. And we were talking about how plants can talk. And he mentioned how they sound to him too. And I remember it being very similar, like almost like the high pitched voice or something. There was some similarity where it was really validating for me. So I guess the moral of that story is that our plants do hear us
Hmm.
and they do actually talk back. We just maybe don't hear it with our physical ears, but maybe with our, emotional, spiritual ears.
Well, it kind of reminds me of like dogs because they can only hear like they can hear certain like high pitched frequencies that our ears can't hear. And so it's
Hmm.
almost like when we're tapped in, um, our humans are moving beyond that human capacity, right?
Yeah.
That physical 3D reality. So like you're tapped in and you can hear. And I want to say I don't have a lot of experience with plants. I only have one plant that I managed to keep alive just this year. And that's my first experience with anything plant wise. And I did not know this, but well, for one, I have also heard it talk to me in a very high pitched, different voice.
Really?
And yes, so I wanted to tell you that, but guess what it fucking told me? I,
What?
first of all, I know nothing about plants. And everyone that loves me and knows don't get me a plant because I'll kill it. Not because I'm mean, but because I don't know. I have no green thumb. I don't know what the fuck to do with that thing. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my brother and my sister-in-law got me a plant for my birthday. And I was like, man, you guys are murderers. You know it's going to die. And so they were like, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Just take it home. If it dies, it dies. And I'm like, okay. Sure enough, that thing's thriving so well, but it's thriving because it told me what to do. I know. So, like, I'm sitting at the table and I'm eating, and the plant's like, you know, if you want us to live, just give us banana water. And I was like, excuse me, what? What the fuck did you just say to me?
What?
I'm like, banana water? That doesn't even make sense to me, right? Like, I'm just like, what? So I'm trying to like, go through my reference system and understand, like, because they're showing me the banana, they're showing me water, and I'm like, so I'm taking peels of banana and sticking it in the pot because I'm like, I don't know what you mean. But then that's attracting like flies and all this stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And they're like banana water. So I'm like, okay. So I stick the peels in the water and I left it there for a few days. And I guess it like gets nutrient dense from the peels. And then I watered it with that. This fucking thing, I'm telling you. Like, and then
And that worked?
yeah, and I went and
Okay.
Googled, and I was like, what do you do with bananas for plants? Because I'm like, what the fuck is this plant talking about? Right? Like, I have no clue.
Uh-huh.
Sure enough, it's a thing. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay. I'm like,
All right,
well,
that's good to know. I'm like, oh,
it's
what can I do? Yeah, because I have a
it's
hard
sure
time.
enough, it's a thing. And I was like, I would have never known that. I don't know fucking jack diddly about plants. So there's no way I would have ever known that. Like, I'm like, okay, well, now my plant's beautiful and thriving. So I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's an incredible story.
But
Thank you
I
for
love,
sharing
yeah,
that.
no, but I thought it was appropriate because, like, hey, let me give you a little added
Yeah.
confirmation based on my experience this year. Yeah.
Oh no, now I'm all curious what the plants were saying, but it just sounded like it was like just like that. So I
Yeah.
couldn't make
You
out
know
their
what that
words.
reminds me of? That reminds me of, have I'm sure you've seen the original Alice in Wonderland, right? Do you
That's
remember?
what that's what I think about.
Yes. So like when she's walking through the garden and all the flowers
Yep.
are mean to her, but their voices are all really high pitched and like that's what it
Yep.
reminds me of.
That's what I thought of too.
That's so funny.
Yeah, the
That's
cartoon
it.
version.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That's the one.
Yep. Okay, that's awesome. All right. So then my second story,
Okay.
again, it's on the shorter side. Um, actually, ironically, I was also doing an energy healing for another client. And this particular client was having a hard time getting pregnant. And so, miscarriages, things like that. And so we decided to do an energy healing on her just to help clear out energetically, maybe what's impeding her, I don't know, ability to get pregnant or stay pregnant, that sort of thing.
Right.
And then just to give her some peace, just so that she's tried everything, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Hmm.
Other than like IVF or anything like that. And so I was doing the healing on her. And remember, she had had a few miscarriages at this point.
Okay.
And I felt an energy step into the space. And again, as I'm doing the energy healing work, I like to take note because I like to share with my clients at the end what I experienced. And she was, if I can remember correctly, I'm trying to remember in my mind what I saw, but she was a woman and I didn't recognize her. So she didn't look like a past family member. Because this is somebody that I knew, the client, I knew her very well. So it didn't look like somebody that she would know. And so I asked this entity, who are you? Again, this is all just in my mind.
Okay.
And she says, I am the goddess of rainbows. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so cheesy. Like, I can't
But
tell
also,
her.
I'm so jealous. There's a goddess of rainbows. Fucking
Oh,
awesome.
just wait.
Yeah.
Yes, there's like almost a goddess for everything. And so I said, I was thinking like, oh, I'm like, okay, like that's cool. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to relay this to the client that, yep, the
That
goddess of rainbows came to visit. And we're always talking about how like it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Well, apparently it can be. And
maybe it is.
maybe it is. And so I did and I did get to I can't I don't this let's see. So during the healing, I did want to also tune in to see I didn't I didn't like maybe I was talking to this goddess, maybe I was just talking to her guides or her her soul team, but when can she expect to get pregnant?
Mhm.
So this is like in the winter time. I don't know. Let's just say this is January that we're doing this healing. And I get March. And I said, all right, cool, I'll share that. And so I share with the client at the end of the session. And, I tell her, I said, I do have to tell you a few things that came through. That one, you are going to get pregnant. It's going to be in March of this year, I'm assuming. It felt like this year. And also, I have to tell you that the goddess of rainbows came to your session basically to, I don't know if it was like to bless you or just to let you know that she's with you.
Yeah.
And that's when I made the connection that, oh my goodness, we call rainbow babies the babies that you
Oh,
have
yes.
after you lose one, whether through miscarriage or fetal loss or something, right?
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
They call them rainbow babies. So,
No, I'm thinking like rainbow children because there's like indigo children, crystal children, rainbow children.
no.
So that's
Well,
what I thought you meant.
no. So in this case, so if you've had a miscarriage, the baby that you have that is born after the miscarriage is your rainbow baby.
Okay, so if after Brielle died, had I ever conceived again, maybe that would be considered a rainbow
You'd have
baby.
a rainbow baby.
Oh
Yes.
my God, I never knew that.
Yes. Okay. So now remember, my client had had several miscarriages, and the goddess of rainbows
Oh my
came
goodness.
to the session. I
Yeah,
know. At first, I'm like, goddess of rainbows. Like, are you trying to tell her like everything's gonna be okay? Like,
yeah.
don't worry about it. Like, is that what is that what we mean by rainbows? But no, it has to do with the pregnancy journey. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
my client did confirm with me that she did get a positive pregnancy test in April,
Okay,
which meant she conceived in
in
March.
March. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
and she had that baby.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah,
so fun. I love
I
stories like
know.
that. I
I know.
love
I'm
it.
getting chills now, just
I
like
know, me
revisiting.
too. Yeah.
Just
No,
revisiting. Yeah.
oh my God, that's such a good story. I love
Yeah.
stories like that.
Okay. And then my third story
Okay.
that I want to share has to do with another entity that came in during a reading that I did for a client.
Okay.
And so the reading booked this, it wasn't like a mediumship reading to connect with loved ones, though if they came through, great.
Right.
But it was, she had some other questions for her soul team. And
Okay.
I didn't look at her questions beforehand and I didn't ask her for her questions beforehand because I do like to take that opportunity with the client to just share what is meant to come through at the time because they're finally sitting in front of somebody who can relay the message that their soul team's been wanting to relay
Yeah.
and that they're finally sitting there ready to listen. So I just kind of, hey, I'm just going to start talking first and just share what comes through. And then if you still have questions at the end, then we'll get those addressed.
That's actually very similar to how I do sessions. I just tap
Yeah.
in and then I
Yeah.
write a whole page of notes of what comes in, and it's almost always the questions they have anyways. So it
That's what
works out.
happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened with this session.
Yeah.
So when I connect, I know I'm connected to the person's spirit guides if I see in my mind's eye that they're sitting in a chair and their spirit guides are standing to their left and
Okay.
they're holding hands.
Yeah. Okay. So they're like, cool, we're here, we're connected.
We're connected, exactly. So we're almost like sitting from across from each other.
Okay.
And then other entities will show up on the client's right. So like past loved ones, etc. And I say
Okay.
etc. because in this particular session, there was another again female entity standing to her right and I'm looking at her left.
Okay.
And I said, I've there's someone else here that she's got stuff to relay to you, so let me see what she wants.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, this is really interesting because I see her as a female form, but she is not looking like I don't see skin, I don't see hair or eyes. I see the universe outlined
Oh,
within her,
like a
you know, like
cosmo,
so,
like a
like
cosmo being.
I get, yeah, something. And so when I ask her, who are you? Because I'm like, is she like an extraterrestrial? Like, what is she?
Yeah.
She tells me she is the goddess of astrology.
Okay.
And I said, okay, that's cool. I didn't know there was a goddess of astrology,
Me
but let's
either.
take it. All right, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, there's goddesses for everything. And so I proceed to share what this goddess is wanting to tell her, talking to her about her astrology practice. I can't remember if we talked about the moons or not. Uh, Asked her for her name. I can't even tell you what it was. I don't remember. Um, and relayed all the message that I needed to from this goddess.
Okay.
And so when I felt it was complete, I asked the sitter or the client, okay, do you have questions now? Like, what were your questions that you came in with if we didn't answer them? And she said, you answered every single question. Every question was related to my astrology practice. And when in my mind, when I was going to ask you what her name was, you told me without me having to ask you, like at that moment. And so everything was covered in that session without me knowing what her questions were. It
Yeah.
was like, all right, that was easy.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
check,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Goddess of astrology. How interesting.
Yeah, but I love that because astrology is very, very cool to dive into.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like so cool to get a reading. And it's so cool to hear the stories of
Yeah.
how they're so spot on for people. But it is still the one thing that I'm like, I'm waiting to intuitively feel the nudge to want to dive deeper in.
Oh, yeah. So I love astrology. I want to
Mm.
say when I was probably 14 when I bought my very first astrology book. And I
Ooh.
have just definitely been one of the subjects that lights me up ever since then. But like I know enough about it that like You've got your Western astrology and then your Vedic or sidereal astrology, and there's different,
Yep.
yeah. So like you might be a sun sign Pisces and then like a sun sign Aquarius if you're following sidereal. So like it's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it
That's a
is.
great session, though. I would just like to add that anytime you can just show up and like, cool, here's all the stuff that came in, and they're like, all right, well, I mean, that was easy.
Like
Like, open and shut case, done,
answered all my
cool.
questions.
Yeah, like
Yes.
you just covered the whole everything. So,
I know, and I don't even think I knew she was into astrology. I knew she was into the moons, and some may argue, oh, well, then she's into astrology, but not necessarily.
yeah.
Because though, but for her, she was more like moon phases.
I was gonna say because even like old farmers' almanacs, like farmers used to follow moon phases for like harvesting and planting and all that stuff. It didn't mean they fucking gave a shit about a Taurus, right? Like
Exactly.
they're like it did,
Right.
yeah. So it's like that doesn't ever always mean that they're into
Yeah.
astrology.
Yeah. So that reading really stood out because it was just like she was, I mean, just you know how good it feels when you like get the positive validation, like, yep, you're spot
Yeah,
on. Yep, you're spot
yeah,
on. Like, oh,
yeah,
connected. Yes.
yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm trying to think of any other like stories that like stand out to me. I don't know that mine are necessarily about readings. That's not what comes up to come up for me right now.
Yeah.
But one of the stories that does come up for me, actually, this happened in 2017, 18, I think. There was this small town that I grew up in, called Eureka, Utah, and I didn't live there anymore. My daughter's family still lived there. Very small town, one of those towns where like nothing happens in it because there's only 300 people, so like nothing could ever happen there. Anyway, long story short, I um it's really weird how spirits figure out that we're the connection for them. It's really weird. But um this little girl, I want to say I better not say her name actually. I'm not going to do that. This little girl and her boyfriend went missing. And they couldn't find them, they couldn't find the vehicle they were in, they couldn't all these things. Well, my daughter and her best friend, had called me and I was on the phone with them and they were talking to me about, it's so weird, like people are still looking for them, they still haven't shown up, we think that they just ran off and got married or whatever, right? And I'm like, well, that's weird because as soon as that happened, I'm on the phone call on speakerphone with both of them. I was flooded with images of where the car was going to be found, how it was going to be, what it was going to be looking like, the color of the car, the fact that it was an SUV, the fact that it was in a ditch. Like there was all these things that flooded me. So I'm speaking this verbally out loud. And my kid and her best friend are like, Mom, that just sounds so like sinister. This is Eureka, for God's sakes. Nothing happens here. And I'm like, I'm telling you, something doesn't feel right. Well, long story short, I start getting these visits from a spirit, and she's writing her name on the wall. And it's the same name that matches the little girl that's gone missing. And I'm like, oh shit. So when I say she's not writing her name on the wall, this is going to sound really, really kind of crazy, but also it's just what it is. My walls, I would go to sleep. My walls are bright white. And I had a night like a little colored salt lamp in my room. So, it was a soft glow. But in order for me to see what was being written on the walls, it had to glow very bright gold, like maybe fairy dust. Like if you could picture gold fairy dust, it
Yeah.
had it had to be really bright like that. So she was writing her name all over my walls. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, okay, if it really is you, where are they going to find you? And she kept writing, keep out, keep out, keep out, keep
Mm.
out. And I was like sitting there thinking, and I was like, are you near a fucking mine, a mine shaft? Because that town has got a lot of mine shafts with keep out signs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I'm like, are
I
you
just got
near?
chills.
Yeah. So I was
Wow.
like, are you near a mine shaft? Like, so I'm trying to have, And she just kept writing, keep out, keep out, keep out. And so then I got these visions of like a little cemetery, and I got visions of, once the way she said it to me was once the snow melts, and she was giving me like an April window. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. So I'm not officially working with like anyone on the case, but unofficially, I'm talking to people in the town, and I'm like, hey, there was one or two people, and I was like, here's what's coming through. I don't know much about this. They were having manhunts and searches and looking for these kids. Okay, so like let's fast forward to what ends up happening. They discover both of their bodies in a mine shaft in April. They had
Oh
been
no.
killed and thrown down this mine shaft, and they were 100 feet down. The person that had killed them was in the little town of Mammoth, right, just above, or just kitty corner to Eureka. And he had been out of jail not for very long and had a history. And
Mm.
he had come home, and the kids were hanging out with the girlfriend. He went into a rage, killed the kids, and tossed them down a mine shaft.
Oh
So
my
that was
goodness.
one of the things that, man, that fucking impacted me so hard. And then even my daughter was like, dude, mom, like everybody thought that they'd just like run off. They were kids, like, whatever. They could
Mm.
go to Nevada, get married, whatever, right? And
Hmm.
I was like, the whole time I was like, no, something's not right here. Like, and I had her talking to me, writing all
Yeah.
the keep out signs. So that was one of the ones that stood out really fucking loud to me. It was a crazy experience for sure. And
Oh, wow.
for a spirit to have to write on your walls to get your
Yeah.
fucking attention, like she did good. She did.
She gave you a lot of information. I
Yeah.
have a similar experience, but not quite to the extent and the amount of information you received. But I do want to share.
Yeah.
So so there was a couple years ago. It's a Netflix documentary now too. There was this woman and her boyfriend, and they traveled in their van, and she went missing in um she was like a YouTuber, and she went missing in, was it Montana or Wyoming? I feel like she went missing somewhere, or was it Yellowstone? Anyway, she went missing on some part of their trip, and he then shows back up at his parents' house without her. Um, and I remember, and this is all like that's all public knowledge as far as that goes. But while the time that she was missing, I was like, gosh, like what could have happened to her? And I
Hmm.
saw a vision. And I'm sorry if this is, disturbing to people, but in my vision, I saw that he got into a rage and he started choking her out, and she hit her head her back of her head on a rock, and it killed her.
Oh,
Whether he like pushed her down or something, like the altercation of him with all the rage choking him.
yeah.
Well, I think they did confirm later on, because he ended up actually committing suicide in
Hmm.
Florida, I think it was. Like they found his body and stuff. It's super sad, um, just because they're so young and everything. But they did find her, and I think that they had found on him like a letter as well. I can't remember how much he confessed to, but it just stuck out to me that they were able to explain how she died. And I think the part that they may have left out was, oh, I'm trying to remember because I was watching the Netflix documentary, and it was either the asphyxiation or the hitting of the head. One of the two they didn't mention, but one of the two they did. And so
Yeah.
I was able to sort of pick up on that part because it was like out in the wilderness, and that's where they apparently it did happen, was where all these rocks were. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah. And you probably got, like you said, the confirmation that there was like a head injury and all the things. Cause
Right.
that's, yeah.
I
I,
think it was one of those.
oof, I,
Yeah.
that actually, I had another story that was kind of like that. I had this lady, when was this? This was in the summer of 2020. Um, and I had this lady that I did not know. I was friends with her on Facebook. Well, I still am actually. Um, Friends with her on Facebook, but I've never met her. Like it was just like we knew certain people and we became friends on Facebook, like supporters of
Sure.
each other. Never met her, never had any interactions with her of my own. And she just randomly reached out to me one day, and she goes, "Hey, look, I know that, you do these psychic things, and I have a situation, and I've got some friends that are looking for their daughter." And
Mm.
I, most of the time I have really good boundaries around like, hey, listen, this is not that kind of, free, like you can't just free for all, like hit me up anytime. Like I'm usually pretty good about like, hey, yeah, like, I appreciate that. I'll send a lot of love, whatever. But for whatever the reason, this time it was different for me. And I was like, yeah, okay. She was like, is there anything you could look at? And I was like, yeah, give me a second. So I don't know anything about anything, right? Don't know her, don't know anything else. And I don't even know where she lives. So she, I tap in for a second and I can already see that the daughter is on the other side. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh man, oh God, I do not like giving that message, right? Because there's search parties out there looking for her right now.
dang.
And I'm like, oh fuck, why do I have to be this person? Right. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't love doing this part. And so I come back to the lady and I was like, look, I'm going to say something real quick. I said, I know that you're out there and the parents are out there searching and there's people out there searching. And this is a really weird, delicate part of the job where I have to kind of tiptoe because this is not um, a message I want to give, but when the information's there, I have to give it. It's my job. So
Sure.
I go, I she's not going to be found alive. And I see a bunch of water around her. And I feel like she's even pinned. It almost feels like she's pinned up against a building or something. Like there's some sort of pinning happening. Um, and I don't really know much else. And she comes back and she goes, okay. She goes, well, the town they're in flooded and there was evacuations and we still can't find her.
Mm.
So I'm like, oh, fuck, this is killing me, dude. And so I said, here's the other piece of this. You cannot fucking tell the parents to stop looking for her. You cannot. You do not ever tell them that you had this conversation with me, which is that even goes against my better judgment to like have the secrecy thing happening. But I could tell based on the information I was getting from the other side how much it would have damaged their closure process
Sure.
had they not gone about it the way they did. So I was like, you
Yeah.
cannot give them this information. This is an absolute no. And she's like, I won't. And I was like, okay. And then I just went on about my business, sending love. That's a horrible situation. The girl was only like 16 years old.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
Awful situation. She came back to me about two days later, and her body was found, and she was pinned, and
Wow.
it was a whole thing. And I was like, I hate sometimes when we're right. Like I just go, ugh, gut wrenching, awful
Yeah.
fucking stuff. Um, to the point that I'm wiggling in my chair even now because like I'm like moving this energy through my body. It's just it can
Yeah.
be it can be really hard. Yeah. And
Right.
we get called on to make decisions like that, and it's like it made me in a moment. In that moment, I knew I had to do the thing and bring forward the message, but also there was a part where I'm like, but also this part you can't bring forward. It's such a hard position to be in.
Yeah. That's part of being the medium,
Yeah,
just
it really
relaying
is.
the messages you receive,
Yeah.
whether it's say it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh,
Yeah.
rough stuff. Rough stuff, son.
Yeah, it is. Gosh, what an interesting turn our conversation.
I know.
But
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 also
it's
that's
so
it's
interesting.
heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But also I've had
Yeah.
fun. I've had fun stuff. Like I had this story which I still have not shared on my own podcast yet when I called the cops on my angel. That is a fucking
Yes.
hilarious story. And
That's on my
then
podcast.
yeah, it's on your podcast. But I've not even shared it on my own yet. And then I've seen like wicked wild awesome stuff. Like I've seen a cat walk through a portal and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like
Yeah.
just fun stuff, even just like mind-blowing fun stuff. But yeah. And again,
Yeah.
just for the record, for anyone that knows me, I can't even like be like, oh, I like doing drugs or whatever. And I have all these like wild experience. Like I've been sober since 2012, you guys. Like I don't even have any good reasons like I don't even have any good reasons for these things to happen other than the fact that I am just wide open.
And well, I'm like you. I hardly drink, and I might have to take a little bit of CBD here and there for like aches and pains, but I'm
Yeah.
sober like you
Yeah. Like
too.
we're, yeah,
So
like I also don't drink. I think, so I do have to take Xolair injections for my my allergies, but that only happened
yeah.
2 years ago. So we're talking like lifetimes of experiences. So like, how can we make this up? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, it is 3:33, which is the perfect number to end on.
Oh, I love it.
I
Yay.
know. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't think so, other than, maybe just giving some, I don't know what the word is, but like with the stories that we share, doesn't mean it's always like that. I guess just some, uh, what's the word? Not comfort, but reassurance that, you know, I always love hearing about other people's stories, and I sometimes I find myself like comparing. And so I just want to make sure that people out there like don't compare themselves to how things aren't happening how they think they should or want them to. So anyways, I just felt the need to share that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's worth sharing. And so is like, don't judge the message that comes through.
Yeah.
Like, because our human will try to like intercept, like, and sometimes even pick
Yes.
it apart so much that it keeps,
Changes it, the
yeah,
whole message.
it
Yeah.
does. So it's like, try to be observing as opposed to like, just instead of judging every little piece of the message that comes through, just let it come through.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That one's good too.
Yeah, I agree. Good
Yeah.
times. I'm glad we got to catch up with our little matchy shirts.
I know. I love it. I'm gonna go decorate for Halloween now.
I know. I'm actually getting ready to, I'm gonna wrap up my day and go catch a movie and yeah, just try to have a fun rest of the day.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining Own Your Essence. I am beyond grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey toward healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with me privately, send an email. I'd love to hear from you.